Good morning, our listeners, and welcome to our today's class. Today, we will be looking at questions in mathematics that concern a concept called number basis, or what we call number-based system. Of course, a number-based system is a topic in maths that is very common with everybody across all level of education, beginning from primary school down to tertiary institutions. However, oftentimes from different examination bodies, internationally and locally, there are questions that are raised in this area that could be very, very challenging. That is, if one doesn't have the tips of the knowledge of these number bases at fingers. So we have thought it deep or wise to call up certain questions, especially equations involving number bases, and be able to solve it with you with the intention of extreme dark areas that you have on this subject matter. However, before we go into solving such equations, I think it is necessary that we remind ourselves what we mean by number basis, especially as it concerns base 10. And then how to convert other number bases now to base 10. Since most of the time, the problems that are facing us will always require us to express these numbers into base 10 before we go about solving them. For instance, consider that somebody has 111 as a number with the information that this 111 is in base 10. So the person have what? 111. And this 111 that the person equally has a knowledge that this is in base 10. How can somebody then express this thing equivalently? First of all, the person can write this into be that this equals 111 in base what? 10. Given the information that this number is in base 10. The base is always written as a subscript. So this is 111 base 10. This 111 base 10 can be expressed in this way. That you have what? 111 in base what? 10. You first of all determine the position of each of these digits in this number. There are 3 digits in this number 111, and those digits are 1, 2, and 3. You determine their position. You raise your hand up now, starting from the right and writing leftwards. You begin with 0. So you have what? 0 here, you have 1 here, and you have 2 here. You are done. What these 0, 1, and 2 stand for here is the position of these digits in this number 111. This 2 that is here is talking about that you counted 2 digits before you arrive at this number. So you now have that 2 here. This 1 here is saying that you counted a digit before you arrive at this number here. Therefore, you have 1 here. And what this 0 is saying here, you never counted any digit here before you arrive at this 1 here. Therefore, it takes a position of what? Of 0. How do we now express it now to base 10 equivalently? Such that when it is evaluated, it will be able to give us a 111. We say that this equals. You pick that digit, multiply it by what the base, and raise it to the power of the position of that digit. And beginning with the first digit 1, look at that digit here, 1. Then I have what? 1 multiplied by. Here is my base, which is base 10. What is the position of this 1 in this number? It is 2. So it has raised to power 2 plus. You are here, which equal is what? 1. Then you have what? 1 multiplied by. Here is my base 10. You have my base 10. Raised to power the position of that number. And the position of this number here is what? 1. Raised to power 1 plus. You are at the last digit, which is equally 1. Then you have what? 1 multiplied by. The base here still remains what? 10. You have what? 10. What is the position of this 1 in this number? It is what? 0. You have raised to power what? 0. So this equals. Here is my 1 multiplied by. Of course, here is 10 raised to power 2, which means 10 times 10. And 10 times 10 means what? 100. So you have 1, 0, 0 plus. Here, anything raised to power 1 in mathematics is itself. So 1 raised to power 1 is 1. 2 raised to power 1 is 1. 3 raised to power 1 is what? Is 3. Sorry, 1 raised to power 1 is 1. 2 raised to power 1 is 2. 3 raised to power 1 is what? 3. Anything raised to power 1 is itself. Therefore, this 10 raised to power 1 is 10. So I'll have 1 times what? 10 plus. And then this one is 10 raised to power 0. And anything raised to power 0 in mass is 1. 1 raised to power 0, 1. 2 raised to power 0, 1. 3 raised to power 0, 1. Even when letters are raised to power 0, they return 1. So A raised to power 0 is 1. B raised to power 0 is 1 down the line. So anything raised to power what? 0 is 1. In fact, a human being raised to power what? 0 is 1 in context, under the context of what? Of mathematics. So therefore, what I have here is 1 times 1, and I have 1 times what? 1. And then what I have here becomes 1 times 100 is what? 100 plus. 1 times 10 is what? 10 plus. 1 times 1 is what? Is 1. So 100 plus 10 is 110 plus what? 1 is 111, which is equals what? 111. Then in base what? 10. Which means if you watch this is what I have here. If you watch this is what I have here. If this is what I have here and this is what I have here, it means that 111 in base 10 can be expressed equivalently as this. So this and this can be used interchangeably in mathematics, standing for 111 in base 10. So that is how to express a number in base 10 equivalently to that number. But then, of course, we can be given number in other bases, and we are required to convert that number now to base 10, or to express it now in base what? In base 10. When we are given such number, of course, it is feasible we do that. Consider, for instance, equally that we are given a number 111. And there is an information that this 111 is in base 2 and not in base 10. And we are told to convert this number now to base 10. How do we go about it? Let us refresh our minds about that. So I will now clean here. The information I have here is that this number is no longer in base 10, that it is in base 2. So I will clean this my 10 here, and I will quickly go and write what? 2. That is the information I have now, that it is not in base what? In base 2. Then I want to express this number now in base what? In base 10. So what I have here now becomes what? 1, 1, 1 in base what? 2. As usual, 0, 1, and what? 2. Talking about the position of the digits in the number. Then you now see this equals. You take the first number multiplied by the base, raise it to the power of the position, and become 1 times what? 2 raised to power 2, because the position is 2. You come over here plus 1 times 2 raised to power 1, because the position is what? Is 1 plus. You come over to the last one, which is 1 times what? 2 raised to power what? 0. Because the position of this one here is what? 0. So what you now have becomes what? 1 times 2 raised to power 2 means 2 times 2. And then you now have what? 4. So I have what? 4 plus. Here you have 2 raised to power 1. And of course, 2 raised to power 1 is 2. So what you have is 1 multiplied by what? 2 plus. What you have here is 2 raised to power 0. And like I earlier had said, anything raised to power 0 is what? Is 1. So what you have is here 1 times what? 1. So this equals 1 times 4 is what? 4 plus 1 times 2 is what? 2 plus 1 times 1 is what? Is 1. Then you now say 4 plus 2 is what? 6 plus 1 is what? 7. So this is equals to what? 7 in base what? In base 10. Therefore, when 111 in base 2 is converted to base 10, the answer is what? Is 7. But when 111 in base 10 is expressed in base 10, it returns 111. Because that was why I had to use that statement, can be expressed equivalently as. So that is how you go about it. Oftentimes you are encouraged to write this base in words. Because at times when it is written in number with number and is not clearly written as a subscript, it could be confusing. So this is 7 in base what? In base 10. So of course you can be given so many other numbers and the rest of them, and you are asked to convert now to base what? 10. So with this little background that we have given to ourselves on number basis, especially as it concerns base 10 and conversion of base 10 number, or other base numbers now to base 10, let us now call up the questions we have for today and then solve it with you. Thank you very much. So permit me now to clean this and then be calling up the questions and then solving together. The first question says, and I write. The first question says, let me call it number 1. That's the first question. Let me call it number 1. That number 1 says, if 134 base n, 134 base n equals 54 base 8. 54 base 8. Find n. Find n. That is the question. So we are going to provide the value of n here. In fact, we really want to know what this base is, such that it can be able to give us a 54 base 8. So the first thing we are going to do here is to express this number we have here using the idea of what? Of base 10. Then express this one equally using the idea of base 10. That is to say that we are given a number that is in base n, and we are told to express it in base what? In base 10. We are equally given a number that is what? In base what? 8, and then we want to go and express it what? In base what? 10. And by so doing, you now come here and write your solution. You have your solution here. Then we write that number again. That number, of course, is what? 1, 3, 4 base n. Is given as what? 5, 4 in base what? 8. Base 8. So I will equally write what? 0, 1, 2. And then 0, 1. As the position of these digits in these respective numbers. And as usual, it is going to be take the first digit, multiply by the base, and raise it to the power of what? The position. And it becomes 1, which is this first one, multiplied by what? N, which is the base, raised to power the position of what? 2. You say plus. Then you come over to your 3. You have 3 multiplied by, the base is what? N, raised to the power of what? 1 plus. You come over to the last one, which is 4. And you have 4 multiplied by what? N, raised to the power of what? Of 0. This is equals. Then here you are. So that one becomes what? 5, which is the first number here, multiplied by what? 8, which is the base here, raised to the power of what? 1 plus. You are at the last one, which is 4, and you have here 4 times what? 8, raised to the power of position, which is what? 0. When you have something in that nature now, what do you do now? You now have what? 1 multiplied by n raised to power 2 is what? N raised to power 2 plus. Anything raised to power 1 is itself. So you have 3 times what? N, which becomes what? 3 what? N plus. Anything raised to power what? 0 is what? 1. So what you have is 4 times 1, and 4 times 1 is what? 4. This is equals. Of course, anything raised to power 1 is itself. So what you have here is 5 times 8. And 5 times 8 is what? Is 40. So you have 40. If you come here now, what you have here now becomes what? Anything raised to power 0 is what? Is 1. What you have here becomes 4 times 1, which is what? 4. So you now write this way. You have what? Your n raised to power 2 plus your 3 what? 3n plus what? Then this and this are like them, so you can take them one side. So this is equals, you have what? 40. And 40 plus 4, first of all, is what? 40 what? 4. You have 44 here. So this 4 on going over there becomes minus what? 4. And this thing implies that you have n raised to power 2 plus what? 3 what? N equals what? 40. That's what you have. That you have what? That n raised to power 2 plus 3n equals to 40. Because this 44 minus 4 is 40. And of course, we know that anytime we have a variable or a letter in equation raised to power of 2, we know we are dealing with a quadratic equation. And the first principle of a quadratic equation is equate it to what? To 0. So I'm going to equate this equation now to what? 0. And equating this equation to 0 means bringing this 40 to come over here now. And what I have now becomes what? That my n raised to power 2 plus what? 3 what? N minus what? 40 is equals to what? 0. At this point in time, I know I'm dealing with a quadratic equation. And I can solve this quadratic equation now using a factorization method. A factorization method is a situation whereby you look for two numbers that when they are multiplied together, they will give you a constant. A constant is a number that stands alone in the equation without a letter being attached to it. There is a letter here, there is a letter attached to this 3 here. Of course, we are not looking at what 0 because 0 doesn't really change anything. So this is what we are seeing as a constant. So we are looking for two numbers we are going to multiply. The answer is going to be minus 40. But when we add the numbers together now, it is going to give us the quotient of the number, which is n. And the quotient of this number is what? Is 3. So what are two numbers that you think that when we multiply it together, it is going to give us a minus 40? But when we add it together, it is going to give us what? 3. Why don't us think about 8 and minus 5? 8 and what? Minus what? 5. If you have something like what? 8, if you have what? 8 and you have multiplied by minus 5, of course you know that 8 times minus 5 will be able to give you what is called minus what? 40. But when you add it together now, it becomes what? 8 plus minus what? 5. And you know in mathematics that plus minus is what? Is minus. So what I have here is just like 8 minus what? 5, which is becomes what? 3. So the two numbers we are going to use is what? Is 8 and minus 5. Okay? So in that case, I am going to write this equation like this. That what I have here becomes n raised to power 2 plus what? 8 what? N minus what? 5 what? N minus 40 equals to what? 0. I want you to look at this and this closely and find out that there is no difference between two of them. Because what you have here is 3n. This n squared, look at the n squared. This minus 40, look at minus 40. So the only thing you are looking at is this and this. Are they the same? Yes, they are the same. Because 8n minus 5n returns you to here. So you have not changed anything. At this point in time, you group it into 2. You open here and you close. You open here and here you close. Then you factorize each of what of the brackets. You look for a number or a letter that can go into this and into this without remainder. And in this case, we are looking at what? N. So I have my what? My n, open the brackets. Then n raised to power 2 divided by n will give me what? N. The sign here is what? Plus. 8n divided by n will leave me with what? With 8. I will close the brackets. The sign that is here is what? Is minus. I will equally look for a number that can go into this and go into this without what? A remainder. And that number that can go into this and go into this is without a remainder is 5. So I will put 5 here and I will open what? A bracket. Then I will now say 5n divided by 5 will leave me with what? With n. Minus times minus will change it to what? To be plus. Then I have now 40 divided by 5 will give me what? Will give me 8. Close the bracket. This is equals to what? 0. You find out that what I have here is n plus 8. What I have here is n plus 8. And what I have here is what? N minus 5. For me to have these two things common in this bracket, it means that we are heading somewhere successfully. So please permit me to clean this top, believing that you are following us together while we complete this solution there. Or let me find a way to complete it here if that place is going to be enough. Of course, when you solve something and reach at this level, you tick this and any of the brackets. And then what you have now becomes, you either pick what? You pick n plus what? 8, open and close. You pick this and this, which is what? N minus what? 5 equals what? 0. Of course, you know that when you solve this one to be equal to 0, what you are going to have is that now, if you say n plus what? 8 equals to 0, you are going to have that n equals to what? Minus 8. And if you solve that n minus 5 is equals to 0, you are going to have that n is equals to what? 5. And of course, when you are told to find the value of this n, you have gotten two possible values of what? N, because you solve the quadratic equation. But this value of n is not going to be minus 8 because we don't have a negative base, which means you are going to go for that n is equal to what? 5, because this 5 is the positive what? Number. So it is only when 134 is given in base 5 that it can be expressed to be equal to 5, 4 in base what? In base 8. You can try as a way of deepening your knowledge in this number basis by bringing this 5 here now, expressing this in base 5, getting a value, expressing this one in base 8 and getting a value, and seeing whether both of them are equal. So thank you very much. We really believe that we did not confuse you as we went about providing a solution to this particular problem. Okay? So thank you while I clean the board and we go over to the next question in order to manage the size of the video for the class. If you have a question, please raise it in the comment section. We'll definitely come to you once we come across it. Stay tuned as we continue. What is the second number saying? The second number is saying almost the same thing, but there is a little shift in this particular problem that requires also an additional knowledge on how to go about it. That number 2 says, am I right? So let me call it number 2. This number 2. Number 2 says, if 4 multiplies, if 4 multiplies 5 to base what? X. It becomes 301 base X. That's the information they are giving us. That if 4 multiplies 5 to base X, it becomes 301 base X. So first of all, we are going to express this thing that looks like a word problem into a mathematical expression or equivalence. And that thing means that we are going to have that this 4 here, so by way of solution here, I am going to use that 4 to multiply this, and what I have here becomes what? 4 times 5 to base X equals what? 301 base X. We are going to be careful here. And then the carefulness here is that we are not going to use this 4 to multiply this 52, 5 to base X before expressing this thing in base 10. If we do that, we run into trouble. So what we are going to do is, Express this in base 10, express this in base 10 before you use this 4 to multiply this. Reason, this 4 you are seeing here is a number in base 10. Because when a number is written without any information on the nature of the base, it is conventionally or traditionally taken as what? As base 10. Unless in places where their usual way of counting is on a number basis. But globally, when we have 4, we take 4 as base 10. When we have 10, we take 10 as base 10. Or we have 11, we take 11 as base 10. As long as there is no additional information given to us on the nature of what? Of the base. So don't use a base 10 number to go and multiply directly to a number that is not in base 10. This is still in base what? X. So first of all, convert this now to base 10 before you use this 4 to multiply it now. And in that case, it is going to be, keep your 4 the way your 4 is here. You have your 4 to stand the way it is here. You open your brackets. As usual, you write your 0 and your 1. You write your what? 0, 1, and what? And 2. So you want to express. This is 5 multiplying by x. So you have 5 times what? X raised to power what? 1. Then plus. Here you are at 2. You have 2 times this what? X raised to power of what? 0. You are done with this. You close it. This is equals to, you come to this one. Here is your 3. Here is your x. So you have 3 multiplied by what? X raised to power of what? Of 2. Are you there? So you now have what? Plus. Here is your 0. So you have 0 times what? X raised to power of what? 1 plus. The last one is 1. 1 times what? X raised to power of 0. Then you return back. You write your 4 the way it is here, open the brackets. Then you have what? Anything raised to power 1 is itself. So what I have is 5 times x, which is what? 5 what? X plus. Anything raised to power what? 0 is what? Is 1. So what we have here is 2 times 1, which of course becomes what? 2. Close the bracket, is equals. Then over to here, you have what? This is 3, this is x raised to power 2. So you have 3x raised to power what? 2 plus. When 0 multiplies anything, it returns 0. So I have here to be 0 plus. Then here is 1. So I have 1 times 1, which is what? 1. Then you now come. 4 times 5x will now give you what? 20 what? X plus. 4 times 2 will give you what? 8. This is equals. Here is my what? 3 x raised to power what? 2 plus what? 1. And of course, you know that if I stand like this, I remain your teacher or your guidance. Okay? Or let me say your guidance in mathematics and statistics. If I turn this way and face this board, I still remain your what? Your teacher and your guardian in mathematics and statistics. So this thing now can be written as like written this way. That 3 what? X raised to power what? 2 plus 1 is given as what? 20 what? X plus what? 8. I didn't change anything. So at this point in time now, I will now collect like terms. Collecting like terms, so let me say a kind of rearrange the left and the left hand side and the right hand side of the equation. I can bring this my x over here, this my 20x over here, and I have what? 3x raised to power 2 minus what? 20 what? X equals. Here there is 8, there is 1 here. On going there, I have what? 8 minus 1. So equivalently now, I am going to have that this is what? 3 x raised to power what? 2 minus what? 20 what? X, then equals what? 7. What 7? Okay? So when I have it this way now, of course, or I have already started seeing something here. So, and that thing I'm seeing here now is telling me that we are dealing with a quadratic equation. And because we are dealing with a quadratic equation, as usual, then we now bear in mind that we are going to equate that to what? To 0. And equating that to 0, what I'm going to have now becomes what? 3 x raised to power what? 2 minus what? 20 what? X, then minus 7 equals what? 0. So this is a quadratic equation that is before us. And because we have a quadratic equation that is before us, we can equally solve it now using any of the solutions or any of the methods of solving quadratic equation, which involves the factorization method, completing of the square method, then using the quadratic formula, and even using a graphical method. But in this approach, we are going to use a factor. In this context, we are going to use a factorization method like we did earlier. So please, I want to have a glance on the much we have done so far, and permit me to clean the board, and then we complete the solution on the top. Please. So this is this expressed as this is this expressed as this is this expressed as this is expressed as this, and we arrive at this. So if I clean up here, I will call this problem up, we solve it here. So what I have there is I have what 3 what x raised to power 2 minus what 20 what x minus 7 equals what 0. When you have a quadratic equation and you want to use a factorization method, and the coefficient of x raised to power 2 isn't 1 but another number, you are going to use that number to multiply the what, the constant. And when you use this 3 to multiply this minus 7, you are going to have minus 21. You are going to have minus what, 21. And this time around, what you are going to do now is you are going to look for two numbers that when you multiply them together, it is going to give you minus 21. Two numbers that when you multiply together, they will be able to give you what, minus what, 21. But when you add the two numbers together, it is going to give you minus 20. So let's think of two numbers. We multiply them together, they give us minus 21. We add them together, they give us what? Minus 20. That number is going to be minus 21 and 1. If you have minus 21, for instance, minus 21 and multiply by 1, the answer is going to be what? Minus what? 21. But when you have minus 21 plus 1, the answer is going to be what? Minus what? 20, which is what we are looking for here. So at that point in time, what you are going to do is to return back here and write this equation now this way. What we are now using is minus 21 and 1. So you are going to write this equation this way. So you are going to have that this becomes what? 3 what? X raised to power 2 minus. Okay? Then you have here now to be what? 20 what? 1 what? X plus what? X minus 7 is equals what? 0. Here is your 3x raised to power 2. This is 3x raised to power 2. Here's your minus 7. Here's your minus 7. The only place where you made a change is here. And minus 20x and minus 20x plus x are the same thing. So you did not alter anything in this system of equations. So what are you going to do? You group them in what? In twos as usual. So you have this and you have this. Then you have this and you have this as usual. Then you look for a number that can go into this without remainder, and a number that can go into this without what? A remainder. And of course, the number that can go into this is what we call 3x. You bring 3x outside and have it. Then 3x raised to power 2 divided by 3x will now give me what? Will leave me with what we call what? X will be here. And then you have that minus 1x divided by 3x will give you what? Minus what? 7. Close the bracket plus. Here, the factor is going to be 1. Open the bracket. Here becomes what? X minus 7. This becomes equals to what? 0. Why here is 1 is that 1 is the only thing that can go into this x and go into this 7 without a remainder. So you bring that 1 outside now, and then you have that thing there. What you have here is x minus 7. What you have here is x minus 7. And because you have x minus 7 and x minus 7, you definitely know you are arriving at what are the answer. Because what you have here and what you have here is now common. So what do you do? What you do is you pick this 3x and then this plus 1, and then you pick any of these two. And then you now have that this becomes 3x, which is what you have here, plus 1, which is what here, open and close, open. And any of this, which is x minus 7, this is equals to what is here. And of course, when we are solving a system of equation and a system of quadratic equation, we reach here, what we are implying that it is either that this is equal to this, or it is equal to 0, or that this is equal to 0. And that thing will imply that I can have that 3 what? X plus 1 equals to what? 0. Or that what? X minus 7 is equal to what? 0. At this point in time, I want to believe that they have known that when we solve this one, our x is going to be minus 1 over 3. Minus 1 over 3. But when we solve it, how is it going to be minus 1 over 3? Because what we are going to have here is going to be that 3 what x is equal to what? 0 minus 1. And this implies that this is what 3 what x is equal to minus 1. So we now say all over 3, all over 3. So that this can cancel this, and my x becomes what? Minus 1 over what? 3. But when you want to solve this one, it is going to be x minus 7 is equal to 0. This and this are like them. So minus 7 goes over there. And x is equal to 0. On coming in, it becomes plus what? 7. And of course, 0 plus 7 is what? 7. And x is equal to what? 7. And I earlier had said that when we solve a problem about number bases, and then we happen to have a value of a negative as a base, we are not going to consider it because we don't have a negative base. So here I have minus 1 over 3, I have 7. So I am going to say that the value of x is what? Is 7. Instead of saying that it is minus 1 over 3. So it is only when this x here is 7 that when 4 multiplies this quantity, it will be able to give you this quantity. So that's actually how to go about this kind of problem. I really want to believe that I did not have a challenge. Do remember what I told you earlier? A number 4 multiplying by a number in a base. Do not multiply it directly. Convert that number in a particular base into base 10. That will now give you the level ground, or what is going to give you the justification of using that number 4 to multiply it, because that number 4 is assumed to be in base 10. Thank you very much. I really want to believe you did not have a challenge. If you had a challenge, drop your concern in the comment section. Thank you very much. Permit me to clean. Let us draw another number. Let's draw another number. Another number we are going to draw is written clearly, and then we are going to solve it together. And that number says, let me call it number 3. Let me call it number 3. That number says if, it says if 2 in base 9 multiplied by y 3 in base what? 9 equals, I have 3 in base 5 times y 3 in base 5. Okay? I beg your pardon, I'm going to write it very clear when we want to provide solution to it. But the number is saying, if 2 base 9 multiplied by y3 base 9 is given as 3 in base 5 multiplied by y3 in base what? 5. And the question says, find y. Find y. So let me first of all confirm if this is 3. So I have y3. So that's what it is. So we're going to solve it together. So solving it together, our solution is here. We now write. What we have there is what? We have what? 2 in base 9. We have 2 in base 9 multiplied by y3 in base what? 9 equals 3 in base what? 5 times y3 in base what? 5. In base 5. That's what we have. So as usual, you are going to come here. Put your 0, come here. Put your 0, 1, come here. Put your 0, come here. Put your 0, 1. So you begin. Here is only number 2. So you have what? 2 times the base is what? 9 raised to power 0. The sign here is times. You are at this place. So here it begins with y. So you have y times the base is what? 9 raised to power what? 1 plus. You are at 3. So you have 3 times 9. The position is what? 0 equals. Here you are. Here is only 3. So you have 3 times the base is 5. 5 raised to power what? 0. What is here is what? Multiply by. Here you are. Here is y. You have y times base is what? 5 raised to power what? 1 as the position of the y plus. You come here. You have what? 3 times the base is what? 5 raised to the power of what? Of the position. You have this. Anything raised to power what? 1. The 0 is what? 1. So you have 2 times 1 which becomes what? 2. Then you have times. And remember that these times is going through all of this. So it is better to even put this in this way. It is better to put this in this way. Then remember that this thing, this 3 raised to power, this is multiplying everything here. So it is better to put this in this way so that you know what you are expressing. To put this in this way. It is better. So that the expansion of the bracket will not confuse you. So what we have here becomes what? 2 is here, then I'll open a bracket. Here, anything raised to power 1 is this self. So here is 9. So I have 9 times y is 9y. The sign here is plus. Anything raised to power 0 is 1. So you have 3 times what? 1, which is what? 3. Close the bracket is equals. Anything raised to power 0 is 1. So you have 3 times 1, which is what? 3. Open the bracket. So you have here to be what? Y. And anything raised to power 1 is what? Is itself. So here is y times 5, which is 5 what? Y plus. Here anything raised to power 0 is 1. So you have 1 times 3, which is what? 3. Close the brackets. So you now open. Then 2 times 9 will give me 18y plus. 2 times 3 will give me what? 6 equals. 3 times what? 5 will give me what? 15 what? Y plus. 3 times 3 will give me what? 9. I will collect like terms. This one carrying y should come and meet 1. This number should go and meet the other one. It becomes what? 18y minus 15 what? Y equals. Here is my what? My 9. This one going over there minus what? 6. So it becomes 18y minus 15y will be able to give me what? 3 what? Y is given as what? 9 minus this will probably give me what? 3. So I will say all over 3, all over what? 3. So that this will cancel this. And I have that y alone is given as 3 here is 1, 3 here is 1. 1 divided by 1 is what? Is 1. Is 1. So meaning that here is 1 and here is 1. So here is going to be 1, 3 base 9, 1, 3 base 5 for this expression to be the same thing. So I equally want you to look at it closely and see whether we brought you confusion or whether we brought you a strong conviction. Our determination is to continue almost on daily basis, on regular basis now, bringing to you mathematics and statistics in a way and manner that you see and savor the sweetness in them. So permit me to clean this board and then we go over to the next question. So this is what we did in this particular one. Okay? So I should clean the board. Okay? We equally have another one here, and I equally want you to look at it and see whether you will be able to jungle out your way correctly from it. And I think I need to give it to you and perhaps ask you, try whether you get the answer. The answer is given as 42 or 110 base 6. So, but the question they ask is, let me call it question number 5. Question number 5. And that question number 5, they said, and I write, say if P base 6 equals 1, 3, 2 base 5. Find P. So let me give another question. That question says if 5 base x plus 2 base x equals 7 base 10. Find x. These are two number questions they give. Okay. I think I need to solve this particular one, then ask you to try out this one and perhaps give the value of your x in the comment section. Let us see whether you understood the class that we brought your way this morning. To solve this thing is very easy, like we had given elaborate introduction around this area. It's just for you to come here and write that you have that P base what? 6 is given as 1, 3, 2 base 5. The question did not actually ask you to find P base 6. The question just asks you to find what? P. It is that P that is in what? In base what? 6. So what you are going to do as usual is to say 0, 1, 2. And this thing becomes, here is my 1 times. You have 5 raised to power what? 2 plus. Here is what? 3 times. Here is what? 5 raised to power what? 1 plus. Here is what? 2 times. 5 raised to power what? 0. So this thing becomes 1 times 25 plus 3 times 5 plus 2 times 1. This thing becomes 1 times 25, 25 plus 3 times 5 is what? 15 plus 2 times 1 is what? Is 2. This equals 25 plus 15 is what? 40 plus this is what? Is 40 what? 2. This 42 is in base 6 because that thing stands for what? For P. So it is 42 base what? 6. That was why I say that the value of P is what? Is 42. Some people will go at the end now and then they will go and put this 42 now in base what? In base 6. If you put this 42 in base 6, you are going to get, I think, 110 in base what? 6. Or you can just check the value that you are going to get there. So this is the value of your P. Your value of your P is 42. And that 42 is in base what? Is in base 6. Most cherished listeners, thank you very much for your audience this morning in this class. We equally have this conviction that we have been able to impact positively on you this morning with the knowledge of number basis in mathematics. Please, at your convenience, try to see whether you can provide solution to this by looking for the value of x. If you find it, drop it in the comment section. When we come around, we attend to it. Stay tuned as we continue to bring mathematics and statistics before your doorstep. Remember to subscribe to our channel, turn on your notification button so that the moment we upload a class, you will be among the first person that will get the notification and then partake in the knowledge. Thank you very much and may God bless you.